Deep in the heart of the forest, a small town named Pine Grove sat nestled among tall, ancient trees. The townspeople whispered of a creature that haunted the woods, one that preyed on those who dared venture too far from safety. They called it the Wendigo, a creature of twisted legends said to be born from the insatiable hunger of a lost soul. One crisp autumn evening, a group of friends from Pine Grove decided to brave the forest and camp near the old abandoned mines. Among them was Sarah, a brave and adventurous soul who had always been fascinated by the stories of the Wendigo. Her friends, Jack and Emily, tried to dissuade her from going, but Sarah was determined to prove that the creature was nothing more than a myth. As night fell, the campfire crackled and cast dancing shadows on the group of friends. Sarah regaled them with tales of the Wendigo, its gaunt figure and piercing eyes, its insatiable hunger for human flesh. Jack laughed it off, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in the pit of her stomach. Suddenly, a bone-chilling cry pierced the stillness of the night. The friends froze, their blood turning to ice in their veins. The cry echoed through the trees, a mournful wail that seemed to beckon them deeper into the forest. "We need to leave, now!" Emily urged, her voice quivering with fear. But before they could gather their things and flee, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was tall, skeletal, its limbs elongated and twisted inhumanly. Its eyes glowed with a hunger that sent shivers down their spines. The Wendigo had found them. Sarah's bravado faltered as she stared into the creature's hollow eyes. She could feel its gaze stripping away her courage, leaving her cold and trembling. Jack scrambled for his flashlight, its feeble beam barely enough to illuminate the monstrous figure before them. The Wendigo let out another mournful cry, a sound that seemed to drag at their very souls. Sarah, paralyzed with fear, watched as it advanced toward them, its twisted form casting a malevolent shadow over the campsite. In a desperate bid for survival, Jack lunged forward, brandishing a makeshift weapon. But the Wendigo was too quick, its clawed hand swatting Jack aside as if he were nothing more than a mere insect. Emily screamed, her voice lost in the cacophony of the forest night. As the Wendigo loomed closer, its rotten breath filled Sarah's nostrils, overwhelming her with a sickening stench of decay. She closed her eyes, bracing for the final blow, but instead she heard a low, mournful whisper. With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah scrambled to her feet and bolted into the darkness, her heart pounding in her chest. She could hear the creature's ragged breath behind her, its chilling cry, urging her to go faster. The forest blurred around her as she ran, the branches clawing at her skin, the roots tripping up her steps. But Sarah pushed onward, her fear fueling her every stride. Finally, she burst out of the trees and into the clearing where the town of Pine Grove awaited. Gasping for breath, she turned back to see the Wendigo standing at the edge of the forest, its glowing eyes fixed on her, its hunger still palpable in the night air. And then, with a final, mournful cry, the Wendigo vanished into the darkness, leaving Sarah trembling and breathless in the safety of the town. From that night on, the townspeople of Pine Grove whispered of the Wendigo's cry that haunted the forest, a reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond their doorstep, and Sarah knew that she would never forget the feeling of dread as she stared deep into the Wendigo's eyes.